Good day, my name is Blue Suit and today I'll be going over my review of the intense first-person cooperative zombie shooter known as Back 4 Blood. After several well-tested betas, it's finally here. Touted as the long-awaited spiritual successor to Left 4 Dead 2, Back 4 Blood is a high-intensity run-and-gun zombie-slaying killing spree from start to finish. You and up to 3 other players tackle map after map as you overcome increasing swarms of Ridden in your journey from one safe house to another as you discover the dark secrets surrounding the source of this genetically engineered nanovirus. There's a lot to unpack in this review, so let's get started. The first and biggest aspect of the game is the actual gunplay, which is mostly superb. The weaponry in Back 4 Blood all feels and sounds especially great. Each class of weapon has a few options in it that all balance their stats in a way where no weapon really feels like the best. Weapons that do more damage are slower, like the 50 cal sniper, where lighter weapons deal less damage but are capable of firing faster, like the M1. Despite this balance, however, I haven't found a single one that wasn't either satisfying to use or highly effective in certain situations. Even snipers, which I at first found to be completely unwieldy, proved hugely useful against Back 4 Blood's elite enemies called Mutations. Fans of Left 4 Dead are going to be very familiar with most of the enemies in Back 4 Blood as they're almost taken exactly from the former title. However, here they've been expanded upon. Each class of elite enemy now also has a subclass that it can belong to that gives it special traits. Additionally, there are even several new boss zombies that add some spectacular thrill to the fights. The gameplay does have a few occasional graphical bugs pop up, but overall the combat is tense, deeply engaging, and just plain fun, especially when you're playing with your friends. I never once felt cheated, and when I did die, it was almost always because my team was caught out of position or we alerted a horde of zombies by accident. The one real downside to the combat is in how the difficulty scales between the settings. The difficulty can be set to easy, medium, or hard, and if you're playing by yourself or with randos, easy is really the only setting that I was able to be successful on. It's still fun, but honestly it's a bit too easy. However, when you crank it up to medium, it suddenly gets way harder, even in the beginning levels. This caused me to spend a lot of my time with the game playing on the easiest setting and not really being challenged, a feeling that was mastered in Left 4 Dead 2. I wouldn't want to see medium difficulty get easier, but having more difficulty options in regards to things like friendly fire and your number of continues would really help bridge the skill gap between the 3 difficulties. One of the biggest hurdles in Back 4 Blood's success is the huge cult-like following of Left 4 Dead 2 and how high of a bar that game set for so many players. And if you're expecting a true spiritual successor, I really don't think that this is the Left 4 Dead 3 that you've been searching for. On the surface, it does look and sound like the real deal, but in both gameplay and mechanics, there are several key differences that really steer Back 4 Blood in a different direction while still keeping true to the broader keystones of the series. The first difference that I noticed was in Back 4 Blood's pacing. In Left 4 Dead, I always felt like I was in a panic from start to stop, like hordes of zombies were just always on my tail, and in Back 4 Blood it's just not the case. In fact, the level design, which I love by the way, instead seems to reward you for slowing the action down as much as you can. These maps aren't nearly as linear, and there are loads of extra nooks and crannies for you to explore and discover weapons, items, and secrets. The game will occasionally spawn an elite enemy to try to coerce you into moving on, but your team certainly has the option to just kill it and keep exploring to take things slow in most missions. The maps even have a lot more verticality to them as there's lots of options to get up onto objects or perches for a tactical advantage. There's one element in Back 4 Blood that really overshadows the rest for me, and that's its card-based system. At every safe house, you get to draw a card from your deck that has a special passive bonus attached to it. As you play the game, there are various ways for you to unlock these active cards, but most will be purchased using supply points that are awarded at the end of each level. There are currently over 150 different cards in the game that give all sorts of bonuses like increased damage, melee lifesteal, and bonus gold, just to name a few. Unlocking them is definitely a bit of a grind, but you really start to feel significantly stronger even after just a dozen or so new cards in your inventory. It's a big departure for the series for a couple of reasons. For one, you can now build your character in more specific ways. If you want to be a healer, or a melee character, or a pistol wielder, there are cards that let you lean into those specific playstyles by building the appropriate deck. And since you get to decide the order that your cards are drawn, you have a lot more control over how your character performs beyond just your skill at FPS games. This has a lot more replayability, it really lets Back 4 Blood stand out as a unique title, and it gives some players some long-term goals to strive for. It also helps out with the game's difficulty scaling. Once you start to get stronger cards, you can start to take on the higher difficulties, but it still doesn't help out much when paired with randos. I'd honestly like to even see this philosophy taken one step further and let players spend supply points to permanently unlock starting weapons and attachments too. Back 4 Blood is incredibly fun, but it is not without its faults, the first of which is in the loot system, specifically the attachments. You can drop pretty much anything in the game from your inventory, weapons, ammos, items, even gold, but for some reason once you get an attachment on your weapon, it's there permanently. If you accidentally put a 4x scope on your shotgun, it's there forever. If you found a better weapon and you want to transfer your attachments, too bad. The only way that you can take one off is if you do happen to equip another attachment in that same slot, then the one you have will fall off. It's a really unfortunate design choice because many players either won't invest in their low tier guns or they won't throw their old guns away because they don't want to lose the attachments they like. The second glaring downside to Back 4 Blood is in its PvP and solo gameplay modes. The crossplay co-op is amazing, especially if you have a solid team, but PvP just isn't fun at all. One team plays as survivors and the other as mutants, and each team takes turns trying to survive the longest, and that's the only available game mode. Playing with 3 other people that you actually know is a nice way to take a break from the campaign, but with randos, it's far too difficult to coordinate anything, and it's always just random chaos until one side wins, and neither team is really 100% sure how they lost or won. On top of that, if even one person quits the match or DCs, everyone on both teams gets kicked out of the game and completely out of the queue. Solo play, on the other hand, is exactly like the co-op campaign, but you can't earn any supply points to unlock the cards. You just start the game with them all unlocked, and it completely takes away that element of progression. You can pick up Back 4 Blood on PC, Xbox, and PlayStation right now for $60, but it's not quite worth that right now. It's an incredibly fun, action-packed zombie thrill ride with a great addictive card-based system that just runs buttery smooth and even offers cross-platform cooperative play. That being said, it does have its faults, the biggest of which being that it's a bit of a one-dimensional experience overall, as its generic storyline and thoughtless solo and PvP modes feel completely ignored. So I'm valuing Back 4 Blood at $49, but I definitely recommend it if you already have friends to play with, as it makes the experience way more satisfying. I hope you enjoyed this review of Back 4 Blood. Come see me on Twitch where you can watch our reviews in progress 5 nights a week. As always, don't forget to like, subscribe, and let me know in the comments what you thought about it. Until next time, peace!